and welcome to the I'm going to restart because I already screwed up. Hello and welcome to the fourth episode of Let's Talk Business, sponsored by MMKL Group. Today in the studio, we have my co-host and colleague, Craig Kosmenka.
Hey there, how's it going? Back for the fourth one here.
And I'm Olivia Bell. So today we're talking business with our guest, W from Sensoteq. Welcome.
Hello.
We're so happy to have you here today.
Well, thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
Good. And what were you in the town for recently?
We did the Simsa show today, or the last 2 days.
Nice. And how did that go?
Fantastic.
Good.
It was over what, 150 folks there?
Over 150, and everyone was ready for business too. Like everyone was in it the whole time. Sometimes you go to trade shows and doesn't seem like some people just want to be there, and seemed like all 150 people wanted to be there.
Yeah, everybody was coming in, asking questions, coming to your booth, and not just walking by saying, "Hey, how you doing?" It was very, very proactive, and they were coming to us asking for specific questions, not just, "Hey, tell me what you have," just to pass the time. It was, "Hey, you have vibration monitoring, you have remote monitoring. Tell me what that's all about."
Awesome.
And that was fantastic to have that. So over 2 days of that, and it was perfect.
Makes the job fun.
Yeah, definitely.
Makes a trip from Michigan a little bit easier.
That's right.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay, well, let's dive in. Craig.
Yeah.
Take it away.
Well, first off, W, tell us a little bit about yourself, story, platform.
Yeah.
Where are you from? Tell us a fun fact.
Yeah.
My name's W Rippetoe, but let me talk about work first. So,
Sure.
So I've been with Sensoteq for just over 2.5 years. I've got a background in wireless sensing technology, and I've been in the wireless and sensor technology realm for about 20 years. Previous to Sensoteq, it's kind of funny, I've known my two bosses, Alan and Adair, for over 20 years. I worked with them at Schrader. So we worked at Schrader Valve I worked there for 18 years. They also worked there for 18 years. 6 years ago, Alan and Adair left and created Sensoteq. And Alan and Adair were part of the new products group with Schrader. Anytime they would come over to the States, I would be there to help them out and be there to, assist with whatever they needed. And obviously they really liked that, because about 3-4 years ago, they came to me and said, "Hey, we want you to come join Sensoteq." And well, lo and behold, 2.5 years later, I'm now a wonderful employee. Well, hopefully a wonderful employee. I hope they think that, but it's I've knowing those guys for as long as I've known them. It's not like they're my boss. They're my friends.
They're your partners. They're your friends.
Yeah,
they're going to war with you, not against you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's a great thing to have that commandeer and work relationship.
Can you tell us what Sensoteq is for those out there that don't know?
Yeah. So what we do is, our purpose is to prevent failure and reduce energy waste in the industrial world by wirelessly connecting machines to the internet. Our vision is to make true machine reliability accessible and easy for implementing the machines to the industry. So we do that with sensors that you can put on a motor, you can put on a pump. We're monitoring the bearings that are there. Our sensors transmit once a minute, and you get all 3 axes, X, Y, and Z, acceleration, RMS, and peak to peak. And once a day with our Kappa X, we send you a full spectrum, a high-res spectrum and a low-res spectrum. And with that being said, we still have a 5-year battery life, even with that transmission rate. You'll have some other companies state that, you've got a 15-year battery life, but they don't transmit nearly as much as we do. So it's a wonderful learning curve for me, because I came from the tire industry and now I'm in the vibration industry. So it was a huge learning curve for me.
Yeah, and I think with Sensoteq, it's always about how much data they can produce compared to the competition. I mean, the data that every time I bring it to customers is always the data that wins, and Sensoteq always wins on data. So
yeah, and that's how really you can sell it too. You've got an area that, if you're doing a route-based system, you're sending a guy out to look at the data on a quarterly basis, on a monthly basis. And with our system, you're getting data every day. You're getting minute by minute data.
And you can sit at your computer.
Yeah, and you can sit at your computer and you're in a safe environment and you're looking at the data.
You don't have 3 guys wasting time away in their day just tracking machines when it could be doing it 24/7 for you anyways.
Yeah, there's always a need for that route-based. You still need that guy or girl out there touching it, feeling it, tasting it, smelling it, and they know that machine, right? They know it inside and out. But with our data, we're sending them out on data, not on a schedule, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's 3 main types of maintenance out there. There's reactive maintenance, which is, oh crap, it just broke. Do we have a part? Do we have a replacement part? What do we do? We're down. How long are we going to be down? So on and so forth. So that's reactive maintenance. Preventative maintenance is that schedule. You're on a schedule. So every 6 months you replace this bearing because that's what the dude told you before to go do. You're basing it on a schedule, not data. Predictive maintenance is what we do, and we're able to predict that failure based on data and time. So you look at it and go, well, you don't need to replace that in 6 months. You can get another 6 months out of it, and then we'll look at the data again, and if it's still good in 6 months, let's roll with it. So you could be saving time and money just by having that.
Definitely. And safety, I feel like, is a huge thing as well for that because, like you said, you can monitor it from your computer.
Yeah.
So that's huge.
The safety aspect is, anywhere that you don't want to go, if it's a confined space, if it's a high angle, you got to climb 14 flights of stairs to get up and look at that motor, put those sensors on it. So now you don't have to. Now you can sit in your control room and look at the data coming in.
Make it easy for yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I tell everyone, especially the, maintenance engineers out there that may not know vibration. Well, there's ways around it too. You could tell us a little bit about that. You guys have your own trackers on the inside base that can help out with that as well.
Yes, for our analytics program, our Sensoteq Analytics, it's our HMI human interface that you can go online, go on a computer, go on your iPad, go on your phone, go on a Android device, whatever it is, connect to the internet, and then pull up your site to see the assets that we're monitoring. We'll also send you, on a typical installation, we'll put the sensors in, we'll let the data collect for about, 2 to 3 weeks to set a nice strong baseline. From that baseline, then we set the alarm levels. Once we have the alarm level set, we'll work with the engineers and the maintenance guys that know that equipment and say, okay, well, this thing's at this level, is at normal. And if it is normal, then we'll set the alarm level, 2 to 3 points above that. And then we can set a warning alarm or we can set a critical alarm.
Mm-hmm.
And so on the HMI or on the web-based site, our website, you can go on and it's a green, yellow, red type of warning system. So if you see green, everything's within the normal limits.
Yeah.
If something's yellow, something's in a warning state. And if something goes red, something's in a critical state. So any critical states, I get all of my customers in North America. That's my region, by the way.
Yeah.
North America.
North America.
So any of my customers, I make sure that I get all of those same emails that they get. So if they call me and say, hey, I just got a critical alarm. Yep. I can look at it, pull it up. I see the alarm. I can see exactly what they're looking at.
And,
that's huge. Well, and Mark was telling me you guys just kind of ran, what was it called?
A pilot.
Yeah, a pilot project.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. And one of the critical alarms went off, didn't they?
Yeah, that was at one of our customers over in Alberta, Trow Nutrition. And we actually found 2. We have 2 case studies we have one case study that we've already released. And I believe there's going to be another case study written from the motor that we predicted that was going to fail. So the first one was it was on a mixer leg and it was again up,
way up
4, 5, 6 flights of stairs through, small ladder ways that you have to crawl up. And one of the legs that were holding the structure down, the weld broke on it and it started shaking like you wouldn't believe. So we get these critical alarms. What the heck's going on? I'm like, we just put this thing on, man. We just put this on. What's going on? And we saw that it was a one-time looseness. So that means something broke loose. Something got away. And they went up there like, all right, this thing is actually working. We got a little bit of faith in this thing, right? And then just a month ago, we were doing a review with the head of maintenance and throughout Trow, all North America. And we found the trending line. So that minute by minute data that I was telling you, we had a nice trending line going higher and higher and higher and higher. And we were like, Well, why don't you go check that? Because, that
It's weird.
drive end bearing seems to be getting, we have a trending line going up, and you wouldn't have caught that on your normal route stuff.
Yeah.
So, and they went out, and sure enough, one of the bearings was failing. I don't remember if it was the drive-in bearing or the opposite drive-in bearing, but one of the bearings were in failure.
Just save them so much downtime and so much money.
Yeah,
And
because then they can order the part that they needed.
You're being proactive than reactive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I got a little saying that I like to use, and feel free to use it. You have your machines work for you. Don't work for your machines. Don't be
Smart.
running around your machines going, oh, this one failed. Oh, this one failed. Oh, this one failed.
Yeah.
Have your machines work for you and know when they're going to fail.
Yeah. As long as you know when they're going to fail, you should be able to have a solution for it.
Predict the downtime, schedule the downtime instead of, hey, boss, we got to shut down the plant.
With the way supply chain is right now, to be able to be ahead of things is huge.
It's paramount.
It's absolutely massive for larger companies. Otherwise, you will have downtime, and companies can't afford downtime right now. So,
No kidding.
on a lighter note, what's it like working? Like you said, you're the North American sales manager, but you're working for a Northern Ireland company. So, how's that transition been in working from American to American to now American to Northern Ireland?
Well,
Early mornings, lots of fun, probably.
early morning, so my day start, I'm in Michigan. I was born and raised in Michigan and lived there my whole life. So I'm 5 hours difference from Belfast.
Yeah.
So my typical day starts at 5 a.m. I'm working with the guys for as long as I possibly can before they cut off and go, because at 12 noon, my time is 5 o'clock their time. So, sometimes they stay till 6, sometimes they're out at 5. So I've got from 5 a.m. until noon to work with my team.
Yeah.
And,
It's a short period, really.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And then the whole rest, my boss is just as crazy as I am. So he works crazy, crazy hours. In fact, just before this podcast, I was on a Teams meeting with him to review a few contracts. So,
Which it's no.
well, he's in Paris right now.
Ah, okay. So
yeah,
that's what we're.
It
Later.
was 10 o'clock there. So
oh
10
my
p.m.
gosh,
Jeez.
that's late.
So he's, and then he travels just as much as I do. So he's constantly on the road.
Right.
My previous job also was with a Northern Ireland company. So I've been dealing with the
Oh.
Northern Irish for...
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Schrader was based out of
I did not
Antrim.
know that.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
how did you get into Irish culture? Like, how did you even find them? Like, I know you gave us
Or
backstory.
they find you.
Yeah, true.
Well, again, 20 years ago, I started as a CAD designer. So I
Mhm.
was doing CAD work for a company called Gates Rubber. And Gates Rubber was part of this large conglomerate, the Tompkins group of companies. Their slogan was, "We made everything from guns to buns."
Oh, no.
So, yeah.
That's
yeah.
pretty funny.
So they literally, and we were one of those companies. Schrader was one of those companies. And, Schrader was the first to come up with tire pressure monitoring sensors. So everyone has them. It's not mandated here in Canada, but you can thank me, W Rippetoe, for that little light on your dashboard that looks like a horseshoe with an exclamation point in it. That's telling you your tire is low.
Yeah.
So do me a favor, make sure you check your tire pressure. Okay?
Especially when it's blinking.
Okay, I feel like you
Exactly.
totally brushed over that. Did you invent that? Like, how? Tell us about that. That's so interesting.
I helped design, it's called the Gen J sensor, and I helped design that. So I was, my boss at the time, Andy Audie, and I, we sat down and we had to design a sensor that would fit. We were trying to get the GM business. So we had 96 different rim profiles that we had to fit. So, Andy and I sat down, a couple of days, and we went through all the different rim profiles,
Mhm.
smashed them all together, and said, okay, well, how are we going to make our sensor fit into all those? So
And you have to make one.
we had to make one sensor fit all those different angles, all those different profiles, and we sat down and we did it. We
That's
designed
unbelievable.
it was called the Gen J sensor, and if you go out to any of these GM vehicles that were, they're now 10 years old now, but it looks like a little J, and
Yep.
that was the one I helped design. So
Oh, yeah.
That's
it's-
cool.
We should introduce W, the king of sensors, Rippetoe.
Yes, that is going to be the title of this
Yeah.
podcast, honestly.
W, what's the story behind W?
I was just going to ask that. Seriously.
Well, you can thank my mom and dad for that.
Yeah.
Karen Rippetoe and Dennis Rippetoe. Yeah. They couldn't decide on a W first name. So my mom wanted Wesley and my dad wanted Willard. And it actually goes back to my grandfather, and his name is Willard D, just the letter D, not D-E-E. It's not short for anything. It's just the letter D, Rippetoe. And my dad, his name is Dennis Wayne Rippetoe, D-W-R. So he got 3 names. And then lo and behold, I was the first boy, and they're like, all right, well, we're going to name him after Grandpa, WDR. But again, like I said, they couldn't decide on a W first name.
Yeah.
So they just said, well, that's cool. We'll just call him Devin. So Devin's my middle name, W Devin Rippetoe. That's my full name. So I decided, I went as Devin. My family calls me Devin, not my family, my immediate family, my mom, my dad, my sister, my cousins, all the immediate family still call me Devin to this day.
Okay.
But my second day of my senior year of high school, I decided that I'm going to be W.
It's W.
I'm going to go from here on out for my professional career throughout high school, throughout college, throughout all my working career. It's going to be W. And it's been a really good conversation.
It is a great conversation starter.
Well, when I was asking for your email to send you the podcast information, I was like, Craig, like, who we having on? He's like, W. I'm like, W what?
Yeah.
And he's like, no, it's just W. I'm
Just
like,
the letter.
W, like, do you just
Like,
spell
what's
it with
the
a
name?
W? And he's like, yeah, that's it. I'm like, what a cool name.
Yeah.
I'm like, that is the neatest thing ever.
So it's funny, you know how you go to these meet and greets, or you're going to a thing and you got to write your name on your tag?
Yeah.
So just to screw with people, I write DOUBLEYOU.
Oh.
And then you get like the sideways dog head. They're like, your name's W? I'm like, well, you can call W for short, but it's easier to just to mess with it.
That's hilarious.
So I think this took like 2 months because, I mean, Mark was chatting with Sensoteq a lot, and I joined in on a conference with them, and I was just calling him W because I just thought that was maybe his nickname or whatever. It took like 2 months, and then finally I'm like, okay, Mark, like, what's W's name? I'm going to send him an email here. It's like, no, Craig, it is like just W.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy, I had like, it's been 2 months, and like, I just thought that was short for something. Like, I didn't realize it was just W. So.
I feel like you need to get in like the Guinness World Record
shortest name.
Shortest name, like coolest name I've ever heard. Like, that's literally at the top of my list. That is so neat.
Oh.
Shortest name, but longest syllables.
Yeah,
There's three
very
syllables
true.
in W.
Seriously.
You know what? Talking of tips and tricks on, conversation pieces, what's the tips and tricks to trade shows? You've been in Saskatchewan. You did it for a couple. I mean, you've been in Canada doing trade shows the last few weeks here. So
The things about trade shows, right?
I heard you're really good at them. That's what I'm asking.
You're there to talk to people, right? So your company flew you, drove you, paid for your spot to be there. And your job is to talk to people. It's not to be on your phone. It's not to be on a computer. It's to be in front of people, talking to people. I don't care what you're talking about. I mean, preferably you're talking about, the business and how they're doing and what they're doing. How can we help? And that is the key to, most anything. Just talk to people, get to know them, figure out what their needs are, figure out why are you here? Why are you staying in front of my booth? Ask them questions. Don't always just have them come to you for questions. Ask them questions. Make it a two-way conversation.
It's true. It's true. People like to talk about themselves, so that's a really good tip.
Yeah, just talk and talk and talk, and make sure it's good content. But again, if they're a talker, let them talk. Just sit there and listen. But again, your company paid for you to be there. Whether it was the CEO or whoever, you're paying for a booth, you're paying for space, and you're paying for time.
Yep.
Don't be on your phone.
Exactly.
Do you find when you go to trade shows, you find a lot of booths are on their phone or on their computers and not paying attention?
You'll walk right by them.
Yeah.
And they'll be down with their phone, or you'll be standing there and you'll be reading their stuff. And, if I'm reading your booth, okay.
I'm a little interested.
How are you?
Yeah.
What's going on? Good question. What interests you about what you're reading? Oh, well, I've never heard about it. Tell me about what you're doing. Right? That to get that engagement, if somebody's standing at your booth reading, whatever it is that's on your back wall, what are you reading? What engaged you? What made you stop and look at my booth? Ask them those questions. Oh, well, I don't know. Tell me about what you're doing.
Yeah. It's funny at our booth, like we had Sensoteq and we had our Copperstone Technologies going, and our robot.
That's pretty neat.
The robot was on the TV and everyone would just stop by and look, and I have to ask, I probably will never ever buy one of those just because they're not in the industry, but they had to ask, like, what's this robot about? Because that's super cool. So W's totally right. Like, if they're looking, you should be talking to them because you know what? And the other thing is too about talking to lots of people when you're out, you don't know, maybe they get a new job in like 6 months or even a year, and you've connected with them well, and you're on LinkedIn, and all of a sudden you know what? Now they're at a job, say nutrient, and it's like,
Mhm.
okay, hey, we had a great conversation. Let's
Yeah.
continue it now, right? So,
And word of mouth is huge. You know,
Mhm.
if somebody's
True.
worked at a company and they left for whatever reason, but you had a good working relationship with that person and they go move to somewhere else that has a need that you can fit, who do you think they're going to call?
yeah,
You know, we've had that here in Canada. I've had that in 3 or 4 spots in the USA.
yeah.
They've left and they're like, all right, well, we still have that need at this other company for vibration analysts for vibration technology. And, you know, hey, who do you think they're going to call? We're going to
Yeah.
call Dubs.
Yeah.
Exactly. So with the vibrational analysis, like your sensors, what equipment does it go on? Like, is it specifically for one industry or is it for any industry? And then what do you put it on? Like, what can it go on? Like any type of,
Any type of rotating equipment.
okay.
So if it's a pump, if it's a fan, if it's a motor, if it's a air compressor, if it's a gearbox, gearboxes are huge.
hmm
Anything that rotates that will cost you big downtime, that's what we want to monitor. We want to be able to detect any failures for you. Any rotating, whether it's continuously rotating or intermittently rotating. We have our sensors are like a shake to wake sensor.
Oh, okay.
So if it's sitting still, it's going to go into a sleep mode, which you're going to get a transmission every 10 minutes.
Got it.
If it's moving, if it detects movement, it's going to go back into that
Back on.
transmission once a minute.
Awesome.
And again, like I said, we send a full spectrum once every 12 hours on our Kappa X. So a high res and a low res.
Yeah,
Yeah.
your guys' marketing team is phenomenal. I
Oh,
always love
thank you.
seeing those videos. I'm always like, oh my God, the most high intensity music you see with these insane sensors, and
Yeah.
they're kind of small. Like they're
Yeah.
Tiny.
depends on the sensor, I guess. But I'm just used to the big equipment that I'm seeing in MMKL.
Yeah.
Like, they're small compared, which is awesome.
yeah.
I feel like that's a huge advantage.
So we have a few different ways to attach them. We have a 25-pound pole magnet, so you can stick it on with a magnet, or we can drill and tap.
Okay.
So we can drill and tap it into the housing or into the bearing housing or whatever it is that you want. So
It's really vibrating. You might need to do that, but most of the time, magnets have been working.
everything we put them on these giant screens in mines, and the screens are literally moving, 2-3 inches as it rotates, and we'll put them on. And I have yet to see one come off. I've seen them rotate, and the reason why they've rotated is because either the paint or the finish that they put on it allows it to rotate, or they didn't clean the surface and there's a piece of sand or a piece of dirt behind it, and then you don't have a good adhesion.
Yeah.
So
Checks out.
What's the difference between Sensoteq's vibration technology compared to like the rest of the companies out there that do it? Because I mean, there are some competitors, not many, but there are some.
there's quite a few. What stands out for us, and I kind of mentioned it earlier with our battery life, but what stands out for us is our frequency that we transmit on. So we're a sub 1 gigahertz frequency, which means we have very good penetration. We have very good distance, up to 250 meters in open air. If we have to go through buildings or walls or different floors, that may cut that down to half. But with our
And that's gateway to sensor you're talking?
gateway to sensor. So we allow 30 sensors per gateway. Our gateways connect to quite a few different means, whether it's a Wi-Fi connection, whether it's a cellular connection, or we can go through Ethernet as well. So if you want to plug it into a cable, you can plug it in, or if it's Wi-Fi, we connect Wi-Fi, or if it's cellular. If they don't want us on their network, we can do just put it on a cellular network.
Yeah.
And then jump onto Rogers or TELUS or whoever that's in the area.
Yeah.
And so that was the frequency is one thing. We do have a 10 kilohertz FMAX, which it's the largest in the field, the largest FMAX in the field. Our previous sensor, our Kappa sensor, was a 2.5 kilohertz. Our newest, latest, and greatest sensor is a 10 kilohertz sensor, FMAX. And it's a user replaceable battery.
Oh, so now you don't got to buy another sensor, you just buy batteries.
Correct.
Yeah.
And the sensor life, 20 plus years.
Right.
The battery life, 5 years.
Right.
So every 5 years, you'll get a, 4.5 or 4 3/4 years. So you'll get an email. Hey, you might want to start thinking about getting a battery, and you'll get that email to state that your battery life is getting low.
Well, and speaking of that, like that is the one thing that I do love with Sensoteq. It's in 1 year, I've already seen like the innovation, and it's always been improving. They're not just holding themselves to a standard, they're developing a standard.
We're constantly making things better.
Exactly.
We listen to our customers. We're a bespoke company, and we want to fix your problem. We want to be able to help, alleviate. If you got something so strange that you're like, oh, nobody's going to want to do that, bring it to us. We want to fix it. We want to help you do that.
That is such startup mentality. When you're a startup company, and would you guys consider yourselves in that startup era, or would you consider yourselves established at this point?
I'd say we're established now.
Yeah.
We're 6 years in. Yeah, we're doing pretty good. Yeah, I'm excited to be here. Every day is still something new. Every day is you're doing something new every single day, and it's a fantastic work environment.
Good.
Like I said, it's like everybody that I work with is my friend. That's paramount. That's huge.
Absolutely.
And they probably don't like me as much because I call them at 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
But it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
I mean, I got a customer ask me a question. I'm like,
I have
let me text these guys.
clue
So
what the answer is to this, definitely. So speaking of that, do you find like there's a really big cultural barrier between you guys, or things that you're like, this is just bizarre, or this is hilarious, like I love interacting with this part of the company?
because I've been with them for the Northern Irish for so long, it's funny. My wife will know when I'm talking to a deer or talking to the guys for a long period of time because I'll pick up the brogue, I'll pick up the slang and the talk,
Totally.
and Sandy will be like, honey, yeah, you've been talking to the Irish again, haven't you?
Oh.
And it's funny, our kids and our, Sandy, my wife, she'll be, we say, all the little things that, I got to go get a cup of tea or a spot of tea, or I'll go, I've been drinking way more tea than I ever did in my entire life. So, and a good Irish fry in the morning is fantastic. So an Irish fry is their Irish breakfast. So it's a big, huge feed. Yeah. You're turning into a fat person after that. So
That's awesome.
Sitting on the couch saying, what did I just do to myself?
and watching football.
Yeah.
Well, what's football? Well, it's not American football. It's soccer.
Yeah.
But we don't call it soccer. You call it football. So, and watching rugby and watching cricket. Yeah, there's just so many
Tons of
things.
extras. Just speaking of cultures, what's been the difference between doing business in like America compared to Canada? Is there much?
The border.
The border?
Yeah.
In what way, the border?
Some
Expand.
days you can walk right through and you fly right through, and some days you have to take your pants off.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You can edit
True.
that out.
So you don't find like down in the States, it's not just straight, a get to it. It's
Obviously, everybody here, I don't want to say everybody, but, all of the customers that you've brought me to, all of the customers Mark brought me to, everybody's willing, open, and accepting.
right.
We're here to help them. We're here to fix their problems. So even in the States, it's very similar. We're here to help them. The last 2 years with the whole COVID thing has been very difficult, knocking on doors, very difficult getting in front of people. But with this transition, with, things getting better, we'll say, we're now able to get in front of people again. We're now able to show them the offerings, to offer those trials, to show them what we can offer.
Yeah.
Amazing. So speaking of MMK, like or MMKL, I guess it should say, is how did you guys get in front of them? How did you meet us?
We were
Actually.
brought in by another group, our Northern Ireland counterparts.
Government.
Invest Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
So it was Invest Northern Ireland. Michael brought us in, Michael introduced Mark to us, and then Adair and myself and Mark and your team. We all sat down and had a few phone conversations, had a Teams meeting, and then from there it's been fantastic. We brought you guys on as our distributor for Sensoteq, and it's been a wonderful ride.
Yeah.
It's been absolutely fantastic. And what I love working about with you guys so much is you've got the same go-getive attitude that we have, that I have. If we've got a customer, if we've got an opportunity, we're not going to stop until we either get the word no from them or, hey, let's figure it out. Let's go there. Let's do a trial. Let's do this. And, if it doesn't work, well, let's try another avenue. I love that mentality. When I come here, it's like, hey, Dubs, what's going on? How you doing? It's like going back to Northern Ireland and seeing all the guys there. It's a wonderful culture.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful work environment.
Thanks. That's great where it's coming from a guy who's been in the industry for a lot longer than myself and even lots of us here.
Well, should we get into the fun question?
I know. So during all these podcasts, there's usually a beer in hand. So
Yeah,
I know. I saw Ty walk in. I think the beer's outside. So, but before I grab that, So the very first time I ever went out with W, like this guy knew everything about a beer, the hoppiness, the IPAs. This guy knows his beer. So
Does that come down from the
When-
Irish culture?
You go to the Irish bars over there and they're like, I'll have a Budweiser.
No
Like,
way.
oh, it's terrible.
What's been the
That's
all-time favorite beer?
Well,
Hey,
so
he's got like 3.
I've thought about this, and I got to be very honest with you. The first beer I ever cut my teeth on is, I swear to God, heart on hand, a Labatt Blue.
Labatt Blue.
That was my first. My dad drank
Really?
it. He loved it, and that was my first. And that's my. It's not my go-to anymore,
Yep.
but it's you got to have that staple beer, right?
Yeah.
So Labatt Blue, if I love an IPA. IPA is my favorite beer of all beers. The hoppier, that's
Yeah.
me.
Yes.
But
Big ol' yes.
if you need a staple, if you need that, the Labatt Blue is, you can always go to it. You
Yeah.
can always, even this as sick as you get off of it, you can still go to it.
Yeah. I honestly at the lake this weekend, I think it was like my first ever Labatt Blue. My
No
brother
way.
brought him out.
Yeah.
And I didn't switch off of them. Usually like after like, 3-4 beers, you're just like, it's good. I'll switch to something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, no, these are good. I just
Yeah.
continued on.
So, and then my go-to beer, my favorite IPA is a Bell's Two Hearted out of Michigan on
There
the
you
west
go.
side of the
A
state.
Bell's Too Hard. And
Bell's Two Hearted Ale. Give that a try. Hopefully I
out.
get some proceeds for that.
Yeah, exactly.
They can be our sponsor next time, hopefully.
Yeah. The all day, the ones you can drink all day long, along with the Labatt Blue, it's called all day IPA, and that's
Okay.
made by Founders. So that's you can't drink.
brought that up to me last time.
Yeah, you can't drink the Bells all day long because it's a 7% or
Yeah.
7 point whatever percent. You'll be,
That's a high percentage for a beer.
yeah,
Jeez.
it's brutal. But you'll have 2 or 3 of those, and then switch over to your all day IPA by Founders, and yeah, you're golden.
You're good to go.
So everyone listening obviously knows W's very well cultured by now. I mean, he's
Yeah.
got lots of stories from all over the world. So being the only one in North America, you travel a lot. How much do you like traveling? Top stories from traveling? Like, I mean, I tend to be pretty much the national guy here for MMK. I've been going around Canada all over the place. I like traveling. What's your favorite part about it? And what's your least favorite part about it, I guess?
Favorite part about it is seeing the culture, seeing the people, going out and not just sitting in your hotel room, right? So I'm a pretty active guy. I like to go run. I like to go hike. I like to go see things. Once you get all your stuff done, if you got a few extra hours, go for a hike, go for a walk. Don't jump in an Uber and go to the pub. Go walk to the pub.
Right.
You'll learn a lot more doing that than, taking the Uber there, unless it's like 4 miles away. But,
Yeah.
just go see the things. One of my old colleagues, Tony, that's exactly what he taught me. He's like, go walk, go run, go see the river, go see the lake. You're there. How often you're going to be there. So
Totally.
it's pretty cool. I've spent a night in every one of the states other than 2. And it's Alaska and Hawaii. So
No
Wow.
way. That's
Every
crazy.
state besides Alaska and Hawaii.
yeah, so the hardest
Holy.
ones were the East Coast because they're all like smushed together. That was tough. I've been to every province other than the really north ones.
Northwest Territories, Yukon.
Yeah, I haven't
Yeah.
been to those, but I've
Nunavut.
Quebec,
Nunavut,
Ontario, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, and BC.
Yeah.
I got them.
You got him.
Good
Wow,
job.
that was-
That's pretty good. I can't name all
you're-
the states. Like, that's phenomenal.
The coldest, the thing here, well, not here, but south of here, I was doing at my previous job. I was doing a training at Yorkton Tire in Yorkton, and I was driving home back to Regina, back to the hotel, and I learned a few words. I learned a word here, and I learned a word there,
You got to tell us the words.
and they kept asking me where my toque was. I'm like, I didn't fart. What the hell is a toque? What?
Yeah.
I'm like, my hat? Do you need my hat?
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, where's your toque? I'm like, it's in the car. They're like, you better go get it. I'm like, why? They're like, it's negative 50 degrees outside.
yeah.
Oh, I've never experienced that.
So you went and grabbed your hat.
Yeah, I went and grabbed my hat. It was a knit hat. I put it on, and the airport in Regina does not have winter tires on the rental cars, and they don't have block heaters.
Oh, man.
Shame on them. So I had to go out and start the car and then come back in. But yeah, that was the coldest I've ever experienced.
Minus 50.
As for traveling, I don't mind traveling. I've been traveling for 20 years. My kids probably don't like it nearly as much as I do, but that's all they've ever known. They know dad's away during the week and he comes home on the weekends.
Mhm.
So it's kind of sucks, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
My fire department doesn't like it.
Yeah.
They don't like it at all. So
Hey, speaking of fire department, we hear that you're into the firefighting community. Can you tell us about that and like how you got into it and what you do in your community for firefighting?
do you have 3 more hours?
Yeah, I do. I would listen to that all day. It's so interesting. Go right ahead.
I've been in the fire industry for 24 years. I started in August of 98. That's when I got sworn in Rochester City Fire Department. So Rochester City Fire Department was my first department I ever joined. I was there for 6 years, and then I met my wife. We got married. We tried to find a house in Rochester so I could stay on the department, but Rochester, Michigan's really expensive. So we moved up to Addison Township, and I met my fire chief. He came to my house. I met a mutual friend there. We had a few beers on the front porch, and he's like, "You're going to come work for me now." I'm like, "Okay,
Sure.
cool."
Let's do it.
So I've been there for 19 years. Well, sorry, 2003 is when I joined there. November 2003, so it'll be 19 years over there. I'm a captain there. We've got a few technical rescue teams that I'm part of, Oakland County Technical Rescue Team and the Michigan Task Force 1. Michigan Task Force 1's been on a few deployments where we've gone down to Florence, North Carolina when Florence, the hurricane, went through. I've been down to Midland where we had to help evacuate over 10,000 people for the floodings.
Mm-hmm.
I've been up to Gaylord. In fact, a month ago, we were up in Gaylord, Michigan for a tornado that went through and wiped out a good portion of the town. So we had to go help, find people and do that type of stuff. So
Totally.
something that I
King
would.
of sensors and a firefighter.
I
Yeah.
was going to say, how do you balance it all?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Thank
Whenever I'm home, I'm on call. I'm on shift. So, in fact, Saturday when I get home, I don't even get to go sleep in my bed. I go sleep at the fire station.
Right.
So I'll be at the fire station from 8 p.m. till 8 a.m. And then I'll come home and I'll have time at the house.
And you obviously do it because you love it. What is
Yeah.
your favorite part about it? Is it the thrill? Like, is it the helping people? Why do you love firefighting so much?
Yeah, everything you just said. It's the ability to help somebody in need. If you've known me for any amount of time, I'm the guy that will go, get up in the middle of the night and go help my buddy because, he said, hey, he needs me. If I can do it for complete strangers, I'm going to do it for my closest friends. So
Yep.
it's what I do. I've been doing it before I was a firefighter, to go help people out. So that's my drive. That's my desire.
Yeah.
And the fact that we can tie it in to work, that's why I think we're as good as we are.
The door literally just swung open so quietly. It looked like a ghost was entering. And actually, I almost started crying. It scared the crap out of me. Because this was like such a heartfelt moment. And then this
The
door
ghost
is like,
of Tyler
"Tee!"
just walked in.
But the good news is the beer's here.
The beer's here. Ty has now delivered the beer.
Well, we're going to take a quick 5-minute break, grab our beer, and we'll be back. Enjoy listening to this commercial.
So me and W just got in a chat because I used to hike and climb some mountains. And I knew that he had trained people how to do it. We just kind of, let's touch on that a little. W, what was your background on that?
So one of my pastimes on top of the firefighting, I mentioned the technical rescue realm. So one of my areas that I like to say pretty good at is, ropes and knots and high angle rescue, low angle rescue. I used to work with Planet Rock. It's a indoor rock climbing gym in Detroit. They used to have a place in Pontiac. I worked there and taught those guys how to climb and how to, tie all the ropes and make sure you're all safe there. In fact, we just put on Saturday on both of our engines, I just put all of our technical rescue gear on engine 1 and engine for all of our rope stuff.
Oh, man.
So,
That's
from the
cool.
rigging to the setting it up and, how to use it. And so I'm like the rope guru for our northern department. So
Yeah.
like if W doesn't know how to do it, it can't be done.
Exactly.
That's not the case. I'll call and figure it out.
Well, it's funny because Craig is like huge into rock
Used
climbing.
to be. Yeah, used
Where did you go to do rock climbing? Like you used to go on freaking overnight
did
treks.
the tallest mountain in Banff, the Banff Range, and did a lot.
You guys are gonna have to do something.
Yeah, you did a lot of mountaineering?
Yeah, tons. Yeah,
Oh,
tons.
very.
I think the highest we were was 12,000 feet. from the ground. So
I did Long's Peak.
oh yeah, Longs
So-
Peak. You know what? We chatted about doing that, but it was a far drive, and my cousin Evan, he was a junior exploration geologist at the
Right.
time, so he was like hiking crazy amounts. Like in a summer, I think he did almost 200 kilometers, like
Wow.
just in hiking. So we were chatting, and you know, I knew he was crazy good, and I could just follow him. But there came a point where I was throwing peaks and mountains at him. He's just like, "Hey, Craig, like I'll probably be able to do this, but I'm just like I'm a little worried about you." So we stayed out of Colorado, but no, we did some cool stuff.
Yeah.
So Longs Peak was pretty a nice view from there. I've heard of.
So there's I got a few stories about Long's Peak.
Yeah.
So we're one of the areas you climb up this escarpment, you go through the keyhole, you go through this huge rock boulder area, and then as you're coming up to the peak, you come around the backside, and it's called the Narrows, and you're literally walking on a 6-inch ledge, and to your left is 1,000 feet straight up, to your right is 1,000 feet straight
down.
So I was born with no lower peripheral vision. So I can't see anything below my nose. I don't know what I'm missing. Everybody's like, "You're blind." I'm like, "No, I'm not. I can see just fine." You just can't see it. So
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
just cruising, looking down, and the person I was climbing with, hiking the escarpment with, she's like, "What? This is the scariest part of this whole thing." I'm like, "Why? Just look to your left and don't look
Keep
down."
going.
She's
Yeah.
like, I have the
My
ability
vision
to-
takes me down.
So that part freaked her out. And then I finally looked down. I'm like, "Oh, okay. I can see why you're kind of freaking out right now." So we go through the Narrows, we go up to the top. And the rule was you had to be off the top by 12 o'clock because that's when all the storms come in.
Oh, okay.
So we get to the top and it's right at 12 o'clock. And a climber was just coming over the diamond, he just technically climbed the whole front face, and he comes over the top and he's got all of his gear on. We go walk over there, and it felt like we walked into a wall of gnats. And
Oh.
Yvette, the girl that I was with, her hair started to like
Static.
go up, and I'm like, "What is going on?" And it's like crackle, 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 crackle. I'm like, "What the hell is that?" Boom! Lightning strikes. From me
Holy.
to the car right there.
No, wait, that's like what, 3 feet?
I freaked out. I freaked out. Lost my crap, and she's like, "We gotta get down." I'm like, "Oh."
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I lost my crap. I
I would too. That's
Yeah.
scary.
So then we got to go all the way down in the rain, and then I'm like, "My God."
You're like, maybe I'll take a break after this.
That was the last mountain I did.
No kidding.
It's funny. That's what happened. Like the last one I did, I have not a story like that, but a scary one. And usually you come back down and you're like, life's too important. That's good for me.
Yeah, you're like, that was the adrenaline rush
Yeah,
of the week.
It's brutal.
Yeah, I know.
It scared the poop out of me.
No kidding.
Yeah, we did. The crazy one was Mount Robson base camp hike, and that got some stories. We'll share it after the podcast.
Definitely.
but,
I want to circle back to your craziest firefighting story, if you don't mind sharing it.
There's a lot.
I don't doubt it. And after 19 years.
My first fire was in Rochester. I was at home. We get toned out. A real bad storm rolled through, and it was a lightning strike. Lightning caught this beautiful home. 3 stories, beautiful, just huge, massive home. Lightning caught it on fire.
Wow.
And we get toned out. The horn goes, and I was finishing a giant pile of Thai food, and we'll come back to that later.
Oh, no.
Oh no.
And, yeah. Well, so we jump in the truck, and this is my first fire, and I'm still
Oh,
brand new
man.
on the fire department. And
You're learning not to eat Thai food
Oh,
while
my-
you're on shift.
Yeah, no kidding.
and I was at home because I was paid on call. So I was at home, and I get to the station, put my gear on, jump in the truck, and like I said, brand new. I'm already breathing air in the back of the truck. Big rookie mistake, right? You don't do that.
I don't know what that means. Can you expand on that?
You have your air pack on, right?
Yeah.
And you've got your mask on, and you're ready to go. But you only put your mask on when you're ready to enter the building or you're in a
Oh.
smoke environment, right?
Got it.
I know that now because I'm a captain. So I didn't know that when I was a greenhorn boot that didn't know anything.
Definitely.
So our engine's full. We get to the house. I go up to the front door, and it's this beautiful leaded glass front door. And I tried the door, and it's locked. I'm like, crap. So I turn around, I look at my chief, and he's like, kick it in. I'm like, this is a $4,000 door and I'm going to
Oh,
kick it in.
no.
So I, turned around, donkey kicked it in and opened the door and no smoke. No smoke on the first floor. We go up to the second floor. We do a full 360 to the second floor. The smoke detectors are going off. So there is a little bit of smoke in the building. It's all in the attic.
Oh, no way.
So once we get up in the attic, we found the scuttle. We found where the ladder's at. Get up there. My captain, Craig, went up the ladder first. I was right behind him. And mind you, I'm breathing air, right? So those bottles last for about 45 minutes. For a trained firefighter, they last 45 minutes.
For a
right?
long time.
So you have breathing control. You know what to do. You're calm, cool, collect. Not W Rippetoe at that. We get to the top of the stair. I get to the top of the ladder, and it's rolling back and forth. There's fire just blowing back and forth all through the attic space, and it's like a whole nother house in the attic space. It's that big.
Oh, my gosh.
And my low air pass alarm goes off, and that means I have to get out. So I'm like, Craig, Captain. He's like, you turned what? This big, guy. And I'm like, I'm out of here. He's like, I gotta go. So I turn around, I go back down the stairs. My other captain was coming up the stairs, Russ Hall. He was a captain at the time. He was assistant chief. Well, he was the assistant chief, but he went in and they put the fire out.
Oh, no.
I go outside to change my bottle to go back in. I get my bottle off. They change it out. I go behind the fire truck, and all the Thai food that I decided to scarf down is now on the floor.
Oh, no.
And you're going back in.
And I'm going to go back in.
Oh, my gosh.
It was terrible.
Oh, that's a good first story. And that was, the first
fire
That was
ever?
my first fire.
Wow.
That's a really good
Yeah.
story.
Kicked
I
it
like
off
that a
well.
lot.
Yeah, we were EMS as well. So my first birth was in a front seat of a Blazer, a Jimmy Blazer.
Jimmy
No
Blaze.
way,
Yeah.
just like the movies.
She was in the front. She was on the passenger seat. Again, another thunderstorm. Oh, I guess it's coming.
No.
And out comes the baby, and we got her mom and baby out and brought her into the ambulance, and 2 minutes later we're at the hospital.
Wow.
So everybody's
That's an
healthy. So.
insane experience. Holy man. Yeah, we could sit here all day. We might do another podcast on just firefighting experience, honestly.
All right, tender off. I heard he has lots of pets, so
Yeah.
I heard a little birdie told me he had lots of pets. So
Well, let me talk about my family first. My wife and I have been married. Sandy and I have been married for just over 20. July 20th will be 21 years.
Wow.
So we've got 3 kids. My daughter Lily, she'll be 19 on July 2nd. My son Devin, he's Evelyn. She's going to be 15 next year, so January.
Wow.
So so that's my 3 wonderful, beautiful family. Love them to death. And Evie, my youngest, she's the only one that has any inclination to being a firefighter.
Wow.
She's like, I'm going to be a firefighter just like you, Dad. I'm like,
no, that's
perfect. So Oxford Schools in Michigan, we have this EMT program that we've put together, the Oxford Fire Department and Addison Township, my fire department. We teach the students to be EMTs. And then when they graduate, they can be a licensed EMT to go work at a fire department, a private ambulance, or wherever they want. And we're doing the teaching there for that.
That's
And
fantastic.
that's pretty cool. So she's like, I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to be a firefighter. And then I'm like, well, you're still going to go to trade school. You can go to trade school. You got to get some stuff. And then she's like, I know. We're going to do it. So she's my little firefighter.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I love her to death. I love all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially one.
They're going to listen in.
As for the pets, we'll go in order. I got 3 dogs. So I've got Lulu. She's a pit Wyoming mix, the most affectionate pit bull ever. And they have such a bad rap, but she is the most lovable. She's all gray. She's got the brindle chest and the brindle on the sides, and she's just a lover. So she's a fantastic dog. So that's Lulu. Sadie, she's a blackmouth cur. She's a fantastic hunting dog. I don't hunt. I like to say I hunt, but I don't hunt. And then we have Tank. And Tank is a shepherd.
A big boy.
Eeyore, pretty much. I wish we would have named him Eeyore because he just walks around the house. Oh, my tail fell off. So, yeah. So when we have 2 cats, we have Oso, which means bear.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Cool.
he's a big black cat. He's like a little panther that runs through the yard. And then we have Miriam, and she's a calico. And then we have a snake.
Whoa.
Yeah, we have a snake. His name's Oscar. He's a corn snake. He's about 6 foot long. He's a long corn snake, so very friendly. You can pick him up, no teeth.
Yep.
So we have a rabbit. I don't know the rabbit. That's Evie's rabbit.
He's a rabbit.
We'll call it Evie's rabbit. So we have a rabbit, we have the snake, we got the dogs, we got the cat. We got about 26, 27 chickens,
Are you on a farm?
just under 10 acres.
Okay, good. I'm like, I hope you're not in the city.
We live in the city and we keep the neighbors up. No,
Yeah.
With the snake.
we got just under 10 acres.
Okay,
So-
awesome.
Unbelievable.
And 8 turkeys. Yeah.
Ah,
So just a few
8
pets.
turkeys.
Just a few pets.
Awesome.
All of the pets that we've we have like our own little pet cemetery too. All the ones that have passed on. So we bought my wife's parents' place. So that's where Sandy grew up, is where she lives now. So there's horses back there, there's ponies back there, and I'm like, I hope Pet Cemetery never comes true because it will be freaking me out.
Wow, that's
So-
phenomenal.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think that,
Well, that was a little bit about me.
A
So
little bit about Sensoteq, a little bit about firefighting.
Yeah.
Avid mountain climber. Is there anything you want to end with on Sensoteq? Anything that we might not have touched on?
we're always here to help. If you've got an innovative idea that you want to run past us to see if we can't fix it or help you with, we're here to help you out.
and where can people find you and Sensoteq?
Our website, you can send Sensoteq.com. You can contact me at W Rippetoe at Sensoteq.com. And that's my email address. And yeah, you get a hold of Mark. That's the best way to get a hold of me, especially up here.
Phenomenal. Well, thank you so much for coming on. That was so interesting. Like, learned a lot
Been a
about
great hour.
sensors. Yeah, it's been a great hour. So thanks for joining, and we'll see you next time on Let's Talk Business.